Greetings, name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. This is your girl Ginger, Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. If you want to get forward, is Miss Jennifer Frederick. Another edition of the We Talk D Ting people. Today is Monday already. The week has started. Another week was finished. We're now in September. Today is the 8th of September. Just now is Republic Day. And just now will be Diwali and then Christmas. Time and tide waits on no one, but I just wait on my peeps because you know what I told you. I'm just talking to myself. Now I can talk to myself, but I prefer when only with me, right? So we start this thing right. All the share. I come in like them now. All the share the life, share the life, share the life. And we must have the pledge.
I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. I will honor my parents, my teachers, my leaders, and my elders, and those in authority. I will be clean and honest in all my thoughts, my words, and my deeds. I will strive in everything I do to work together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of my country.
And I do love my country, Trinidad and Tobago. So people we starting this thing one time. So I saw, you remember last week I would have spoken about the young guy from Laventille who got all distinctions. He came from a single family home. His mom, I understand now. It has been said that she's one of the CPAP workers who was fired. So things are really hard, but even while she was working, they tried as hard as possible to make ends meet. And she making sure he has whatever he would have needed as little as it is for him to continue his studies. Now he has gotten his distinction. She is not working. I understand being a CPEP worker. If I'm wrong, somebody could correct me. However, the salient point is that she's struggling and she's trying to make ends meet, but she's making sure her child gets an education. And the child is very dedicated, understanding his circumstances, and doing that education will be the key to get him and his mom out of that situation. So I saw the opposition leader, political leader, as she loves to remind us, she, along with the member of parliament for the area, they went to visit the young man. So let me find it here. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. Right, I think this is it. So let's listen.
Hey, don't do it.
Spread your wings. Nothing is impossible, believe. If I can do it, you can spread your wings. Nothing is impossible. If I can do it, you can spread your wings.
How are you?
Congrats. I saw this on the papers and Karim and I spoke, right? So this is your laptop.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of both of us.
Thank you so much.
Karim and myself, right? Well, you know, he's the MP for the area. I'm the political leader. But I think I just want to give you a little message, right? Now, I grew up without lights and water, right? So that, you know, you might have little issues and things when you go to school, right?
Yeah.
In terms of where you come from. So I didn't have lights, we didn't have water. I was the first person from my village to pass us into this. I grew up in a village, right?
Yeah.
You know, the point about it is that sometimes you think that things might be challenging for you. Always remember there are those of us who made it, and it was challenging too, right? So, you know, you're bright, you're going to a good school. Just keep focused. You know, you'll have the little distractions.
Thank you.
Most important thing is to celebrate your mother, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And the sacrifices she made for you to be where you are. Loving your parents gives you a special blessing. Always remember that.
Yeah.
Right? That is all I have to tell you, right? Good. Right, so I hope this will be
Thank you so much. Yeah.
excellent.
All right. And I went to Trinity College, and you know, coming from Beta, I remember the first day in school having to say my name, my age, and where I came from. And I remember that laugh that came immediately after I said I came from Beatam Gardens. And from there, I know that, you know, at times when we come from communities such as Laventille and Beatam and Simbabs, many times we have to work twice as hard as others to get and achieve what we want. It takes a community to raise a child, and we are part of that community. It's not only a physical community, but this is not a one-off instance, that we are here to support you in your journey, and we will be right there with you, you know, 100%. Right? So this is your uniform, your uniform, and some other things in there as well, right?
Well, I do appreciate it. I got to hear how much of it is for something.
Sure. I'm happy to.
Blessing up a flow like a river. Blessing up a flow like a river. Blessing up a flow like a river. Blessing up a flow like a river.
Right? That was the opposition leader and political leader of People's National Movement, right? Along with a member of parliament for the area. Does never remember it Mova Lab until I think it is, right? And they would have delivered to the young chap, as I said, a laptop, and also MP Marcel would have given him school uniform also, right? So that was really nice, right? So let me see. I also saw the member, the opposition leader, political leader at the Women's League, Women's League meeting, and you call it meeting, like that, and she was singing calypso, and the crowd was taking it in. So let's take a little listen, right? Right? So, well, we know she didn't enter no carnival competition, no calypso competition, right? But that was there. That was at that Women's League meeting, ladies in white, looking very nice and spiffy, right? So that's it there. So let me continue, right? So today, the opening school has opened today, and I saw a gentleman singing the praises of the Minister of Education. Oh, but the only thing he can do is probably bend down and kiss the man hand and all kind of thing. Oh, but first he massage the man and powder him up and all kind of thing, whatever. Now the schools are open and all that. I understand there about 20-something schools not open, and last Friday, I think it was, I would have spoken about what's happening in Tobago. So I don't know if the gentleman who was digging up the Minister of Education, if he's aware of that. Um, However, if what he's saying is true, well, kudos to the Minister of Education. And all those children who are back out of school today, continue to keep focused. Doesn't matter what school you pass for. The school will make the child because people in the school, the teachers, the parents, the students, everybody make up to make that school successful or failure. So it's all about your input, the teachers' input, the principals' input, the whole ambience, the cafeteria lady or guy, the MTS workers, the cleaners, and it's a whole family at the end of the day because you spend from 8 o'clock in the morning to about after 2, basically the whole day in school. So that is a family. And of course, we want to also focus on the children of CPEP workers and all the other workers from reforestation and other areas who were fired. I'm hearing there's about 40,000 people now that who may not have been able to send their children out to school and don't know what to do. I just thinking about it, the enormity of it is, I wouldn't just say prayers alone because prayers without works is there. I wouldn't just say keep faith alone because faith by itself, again, is there, and hope just like that. While it keeps you, there must be something it grounded in. So I want to say that all persons who can assist and help family members, members of parliament, and I see members of parliament have been doing that, the People's National Movement members of parliament. I saw my member of parliament, MP Stuart Richard Young, SC, he would have had his book drive. They are giving out also not only books but hampers to the parents, and it's not the first time or the second or the third time that is always happening there. I saw other persons, other members would have also been given out stuff. So let us hope that the corporate world and benefactors and stuff will come out and give assistance to those mothers, especially, and their fathers also. But we talk about the mother, you know how the things go. So first day of school today, and the police were in schools today. That is a mix. That is a mixed emotion kind of thing. If you ask me if I agree with police being in schools, there has to be a context. If you ask me if I'm comfortable with police with guns in school, again, that has to come in a context. Because I don't think just police in school with guns and tasers is the only solution. It's like putting a plaster on a sore. No, I'm not saying that they should not have some type of, in those schools that they are deeming to be the very high risk schools. I'm not saying they should not put some type of security in school for the teachers, the principals, the students themselves, because we have seen the fighting, we have seen parents coming in and getting on to and all that. So I hear that. But I'm saying at the same time, I remember Dr. Naim Gasly as Minister of Education would have put certain things in place in some of those same high-risk schools, and the fruit of it was borne out this year when there was a larger number of students passing, not just SA, but CX, CXC, and that kind of thing. So they could look into that also and see what worked there and just go depend on police and schools with guns to treat with issues. Because we wouldn't like to hear the negative side of that. So while we want to treat with an issue, we must also not want a new issue to come out of that. So again, I'm saying to me that if you ask me, I will always say and respond this way. It has to be within a context. And I'm still not hearing the responsibility of the parent and a delinquent parent, how they're going to treat with that. Everything is on the child. The law says under 18, you are a child and you are in the care of a parent or guardian or caregiver, unless you are a state child, meaning that you're in the orphanages or one of the homes. Where is the responsibility for the parent with regards to their child? That the law says once they're under 18, that is your child. It can't just be the teachers, the principal, the church, and the police and all that. They must have some intervention with the parents, and they can't just stop at police in schools. What next? So you get children who are behaving deviant behaviors. What are you going to do with them? Are you going to put them in detention center, expel them from school? Because that's what all the quarrel about before. And then Dr. Gaspi, when they came up with some other things to treat with it other than being expelled and just out there and all that, things like the MyLat, my part could have taken those slack up. You had other programs from the Ministry of Youth Development National Services. You have CCC, you have YTEP and all that. All them things on hold now. So what is going to happen when a child is being deviant in the school and the police has to put their hands on that child? What is going to happen? They're going to end up in Children's Court on Sinclair, Elizabeth Street in Sinclair, or down Faisalabad. What was happening next? So as I said today, the first day of school and the children were greeted. I don't know what school that was, but the police officers. So let me show you what it looked like.
So I will take you just to show you access to the entire block. Okay. So we have only Form 1 to Form 5's classroom there. And more to the back, we have the house. Exactly. Downstairs, upstairs. Yeah. So we are going to open the room and stuff like that. But this is, yeah, the classroom. So, but this is the main area. So you notice on board we have the classroom over. So you know we have assembly here. So because of the first day of school, we start to have the house on the foot. That's how we open here.
So this will be the main hub behind with all
yes,
the activities.
All the activities. Correct. Form 1 is to Form 5 is the entire so cubicles here for them, right? We have an extra desk here, fans, we have refrigerator, microwave behind there. Yeah. So these are one of the cubicles they'll be using, right?
Right, so that's on the cover there. Let me just play this other one. Police in school.
Senior police officers confirmed that armed police officers would be stationed at some high-risk schools. In July, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar announced that police officers would be deployed at high-risk schools for the new school term. The question since then has been, will those officers be armed? According to Deputy Police Commissioner Junior Benjamin, the answer is yes. But when asked at Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing, Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander had a different answer.
What I can tell you is this for sure, that those officers will be given non-lethal equipment that they can respond with in an effective manner.
Okay. So when asked directly, will they have guns or they won't have guns?
Well, again, non-lethal weapon that they can be able to carry out their duties effectively.
Earlier, Benjamin explained the rationale behind armed officers in schools. But when contacted after Alexander's comment, he indicated that as far as he knows, guns are allowed, but will await feedback from Police Commissioner Alistair Gavaro.
we are saying that as a tool of trade, it is not something that is out of the way. Whenever you see a police officer, he's normally armed. So therefore, seeing the officer in the school with his normal tool of trade is nothing surprising to anybody. It is part and parcel. They are going to have both lethal and non-lethal things. And again, it is only there as a safety precaution to ensure safety and security in the school environment.
In a telephone interview with CNC3 News, Education Minister Dr. Michael Dowlett did not want to confirm the presence of armed police officers.
Talk with the police commissioner, right? Because they have the responsibility for the police, and they will explain to you what the full kit means.
Twitter President Martin Lumpkin said he is concerned about the psyche of children where armed police officers will be stationed. He added some schools are already like prisons. Now with armed officers, that may further traumatize children.
Twitter has always been hesitant on having armed personnel in school compound. As you're aware, some schools are the provider is MTS, and MTS can provide armed services as well, but that has not been done to my knowledge in the past. And we wonder why there's the need to have armed personnel on the compound of a school.
National Council of Parent Teachers Association Walter Stewart also raised concerns.
But the DCP did indicate to us as a proactive mechanism, there's going to be one officer of two that would be lethal, would be armed. The jury is still out for us as parents. We are very concerned about that armed police officers would be resident in our schools. But we wait and see what happens with regards to any negotiations where that is concerned, with regards to the Ministry of Education, the TTPS, and of course the interaction with the National Council of Parent Teacher Association.
Dr. Dowlett confirmed that police officers will be stationed at 50 high-risk secondary schools, with some routinely patrolling 10 primary and 10 secondary schools. Jensen Lavend, CNC3 News.
And there again lies the confusion, and that's why they do everything that sounds as though everybody not on the right page. So the minister, the Honorable Minister of Defense, no Homeland Security said they will have, I think they would have something, lethal something, but not gun. Then the Roger Benjamin, I think something Benjamin is his name, whatever he's saying, guns, and then Twitter saying the concern about that, because as President Lumpkin rightly said, MTS are precepted officers, and they have been in school for years and they never had guns. So instead of the police only wanted that type of thing, why couldn't the MTS officers be the people who are precepted officers who can carry guns, not be the ones in school? Why need to be police? So, and again, Lumpkin was correct. You're making the, I understand that some people are, yes, because the trend on them, they're bad, and the trending get bad just so yes, they come from a who, wherever, check that. They're bad and they're wicked, yes, and the thing and all that fight and give on. Okay, until some incident happen in the school, God forbid, where's a shooting incident to them and the police, whatever, all of them go turn on and twist all them out and say, you see, and let us don't look for a plaster first. So I now remember that MTS workers, MTS officers, in fact, are precepted, some of them, and they're in the schools all the time. So why not use them too? Why you need to actually bring the, but again, them as the educators and whatever, not the educators, they're the professionals in the field. And not only that, officer being trained for 2 weeks or 3 weeks how to treat his children and those things is not the same thing as a social worker guidance officer. It's children you're dealing with. And look, I hear they come in, I say, good morning, sir, officer, something. I didn't hear nobody respond to that. So then what are they going to do? They walk around with their face like beasts and don't talk to each other? Or would they say hello, morning, whatever, and still have that area of authority? Will they be able to do it? Or they're just going to be like, I don't know, listen. To me, it's a pilot project. I really hope it works. My concern again is context and how things are done. That's all. So let me continue. So breaking news, well, it's not so breaking again, but it's serious news at the end of the day. We go into France. I saw that in BBC.com. French government collapses as MPs vote to oust Prime Minister, and the summary of it is France is plunged into a fresh political crisis as MPs vote to oust the Prime Minister. French President Emmanuel Macron will name a new Prime Minister in a matter of days. His office says who is in the running. So Prime Minister Francois Bayrou called the surprise vote of confidence in himself after huge opposition to his budget plans. His defeat was inevitable, but France's enormous pile of debt remains, writes our Europe digital editor. New to this story, here's how we got here and where the vote leaves Emmanuel Macron. Let me see if it is long. I am reading this coming up from France. But the point is that there are new developments in France where the prime minister apparently called a no confidence vote to see people will vote against him, and they vote he out. And it had to do with the budget plans. Let's see how that develops. So let me continue. I want to treat with this because it's important, because it's coming after, I think, after that whole detraction, I paid it, so in my opinion, of Dr. I say that Kurt Mayhew, with his pronouncement from independence, and Dr. Eric Williams was the first prime minister, which is a lie, and he has proven to be a liar or misinformer, and then he went on to speak about how a generation of his ancestors were here and they did this and what they didn't do, and there were no slaves here and all that. He was checked also with that. Again, that is a lie. I would have spoken about that on Friday. So I saw this post, and I don't know if this is the person who wrote it, if it is a fake page. However, it goes some roasting, and it says, Prime Minister Modi came to Trinidad from India and brought many gifts for the people. He gave us Indian people their passport. He embraced us. He ate with us. He dined with us. And he told us all come home. Can you say the same for Africa? The truth is, Africans in Trinidad were sold by their own people for shillings, and those who sold them never came back. Even today, many of my African friends from the continent look down on the people in the Caribbean who are African descent. They say Caribbean blacks try to imitate the white man. They say you don't get married, you just have children with different men and women. They say you don't take care of your family, so educate your children properly. And too often, by the time a young woman turns 16, she already has a child. This is how Africans from Africa see you, as the bottom of the barrel. They are ashamed of Caribbean blacks and the way racism is expressed here. Africans from the continent don't believe in racism. They embrace everyone, every culture, and every race. But your behavior towards other races is filled with hostility, and it looks more like hatred and pride. So I just want to, I could not resist. I want to tell the person, if that is the name, one thing. While there's no denying that some persons in Africa would have, certain tribes in Africa, like the Dahomey, would have taken part in the slave trade. They have come in times to apologize because I think they're saying they did not know. Because Africa always had slavery. The slavery in Africa was, when my tribe fight yours and we win, we take you as slaves. But you know what happened? You were not considered an animal. You were not considered less than a person. You were still a human being. And within that tribe, you could have rise up within that tribe and become the king or the and conquer that kind of thing. So it was slave, yeah, but it wasn't slave without human dignity. That is what Africa knew. So when this white man come, however it went, whatever the case may be, my thinking, logically, they may have felt that that is the type of slavery that they're selling or whatever it is Africans into. And it wasn't a large majority of African people in Africa who took part in that. So I wouldn't belabor that point. He went on to say that India, Prime Minister Modi came here recently and said for Indians to come home. I will treat with that. He speak about basically Africans fighting on Africans, because them in Africa don't like we. I will talk about that just now. And he also spoke about we making one set of trend by 16 years old, we making trend for different man, like basically what he's saying. And that we so want to be close to the blacks, you know. We want to so embrace. We were ashamed, they're ashamed of us in Africa, and that we today he's saying that something to the effect that we imitating white people. So I want to tell you, gentlemen, this when he speaks about African, like an African from Africa, or like from India, you know, African from Africa, though like the Africans in the diaspora, the Caribbean, all that. I wonder if he's aware of this. It's an article written by Apama Pandey, the director of Indian Initiative and a research fellow at the Hudson Institute. She says, notwithstanding ties of history, culture, ethnicity, and language, Pakistan and India remain hostile neighbors, divided by the impact of the British Indian Empire partition in 1947. The split of a unified subcontinent along religious lines framed the fundamental relations between the two neighboring states. To understand Indian-Pakistan relations, there is a need to comprehensively understand the underlying issue of their relationship. The roots of the key areas of conflict between India and Pakistan lies in the legacy of partition, whether it is the problem facing minorities, the dispute over Kashmir, as well as issues like cession of the Sir Creek and the water dispute. The two countries have fought 4 wars in the last 6 decades, 3 over Kashmir and 1 which resulted in the creation of Bangladesh. Are they not all Indians? It's just a partition of the land. India is Hindus, Pakistan is Muslim, and they have been fighting each other. Are they not at the end of the day Indians? So when this person who wrote that piece speak about Africans in Africa don't like the Africans who came to the West Indies in slavery, what about the Indians in India who don't like the Indians in Pakistan and them living close together up to this day? So let me continue. I ain't gonna read the whole thing. Let me go again. Speaking about we want to imitate the white people. I wonder if he's aware of this. It's called Bleach Girls, India and its Love for Light Skin. This was published the 21st of July 2017 in a magazine called Conversation. Let's rub out that tan is a common refrain in beauty parlors in India, where girls grow up with constant reminders that only fair skin is beautiful. From Sunday's classified ads touting the marriageability of the MBA graduate, 5.5 feet, English medium, fair complexion, to elderly aunties advising young women to apply saffron paste to maintain your skin whiter and smoother. The signs are everywhere. Even sentiments like, she got lucky, he married her despite her dark complexion, are still whispered around India in 2017. Younger generations are now starting to push back, and on July the 7th, 18-year-old Arana Johar published her Brown Girl's Guide to Beauty on YouTube. The video is a well-spoken poem containing lines like, forget Snow White, say hello to chocolate brown, I'll write my own fairy tale, and it went viral. So the point I'm making when he's speaking about we want to imitate white people, in India, where his ancestors came from, because he's proud that Prime Minister Modi came to Trinidad just about 2 months ago, if so much, and want them to come back to India. In India, the girls and them, up to 2017, they're lightening the skin because they're being told white is beauty. They go get married when they're white. Okay, let me continue. He spoke about us making children by 16 and all that. I wonder if he's aware of the PNM government. Not the PNM government of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley had to go to Parliament to fight to stop child marriage, to stop Indian man 40-something climbing up an 11-year-old little girl chest in marriage. Madam Camille Robinson Regis would have said, the marriage register would have shown girls as young as I think either 11 or 14 or something, so getting married to a 40-something-year-old man right in this Trinidad. When they went to argue that to stop that practice, Kamla Pasabi Sessa sent scholars to say that when girl is 9 and she's in she period, she could take, I pin it my way, she could take marriage. So when all the right, all the thing I'm talking about 16-year-old African woman having children for this and that. Yes, it's a little Indian girls who was having children for big man under the cover of marriage because deceased Satmaraj married Shanti when she did 15 years old. And he was 21 years old. He was a teacher. And I think by 16 or anywhere around this, she had her first child. And that is the president of this Mahasabha, however. And so many other stories you have heard of. Not only that, while they may not have it for Tom, Dick, and Harry, it is known, you know the word incest? Are you familiar with the word incest? A report was done by a policewoman always trying to find it, where it showed over the Caroni Bridge, incest is rampant. So when the fellow wrote when he wrote that piece about African women having children by 16 years old, again, put it in context, because in the Indian community, the context was marriage. So that make it okay. 11 and 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah? Right. Let me move on. He also spoke about they returning to India and like nobody wants us to return to Africa. So let me read this here because it's not only for him alone. He Kurt May, who would have sparked a conversation and they feel they could tell me what they wanted. So I want him to know this report is published the 13th of June 2025. Citizens' Rights in Africa Initiative, returning to Africa. People of African descent seek unique status. By deciding to open citizenship application to all of African descent around the world, Benin became the latest in a growing list of African countries to formally recognize historical links with the African diaspora. Benin's 2nd of September 2024 law on citizenship for peoples of African descent, further clarified by the law of the 9th of April 2025, has been welcomed because of its limited conditionalities. People of African descent who make the request to acquire Beninese citizenship only need to show that they are over 18 years old and they are not a citizen of another African country and have proof of their descendancy through civil status documentation or a state-recognized DNA test. Benin noted that its efforts to formally recognize the existing links between people of African descent and Africa were taken in the context of international decades of people of African descent. People of African descent are not simply distant members of our family. They are our children, our brothers, our sisters. They embody an essential part of our collective identity. By recognizing their rights to return, we are saying to them, you have never ceased to belong to this land. Africa is your home. Let me read it again to the man who wrote that piece of Gubar. Our African ancestors in Africa said, you have never ceased to belong to this land. Africa is your home, and we welcome you with open arms. If you see the man name, I'm going to try to pronounce it, said Olusegun Adjade Bakari, Benin's Minister of Foreign Affairs, during a speech delivered at the UN General in New York on September 2024. I ain't gonna read no more. In fact, you know what? It's short, let me read it. It's for all our edification. In the mid-19th century, Liberia became the first African nation to offer descendants of enslaved Africans from the United States of America the possibility to return. In 2000, Ghana introduced the right to Abode Act, granting unrestricted rights to travel and work in the country of Africa, in the country for African descent, and the diaspora. Further, Sierra Leone developed a descendant-based initiative granting citizenship for individuals with verified ancestral ties to the country. Apart from those legal steps, some African countries encourage the reconnection with people of African descent through various initiatives, such as Gambia's Root Festival, inviting Africans and the people of African descent to commemorate the transatlantic slave trade of enslaved Africans and celebrate the richness and diversity of Gambians and Africa's culture. Further, Ghana in 2018, Year of Return, invited people of African descent and the diaspora to Ghana to mark 400 years since the beginning of the transatlantic trade of enslaved Africans. More recently, in January 2025, Guinea-Bissau granted citizenship and delivered national passports to a first group of people of African descent following advocacy by civil society organizations that had called for such recognition. The transatlantic trade in enslaved Africans deprived Africa of its workforce, effectively shutting or stunting the development of the continent. On the other side of the Atlantic, by the 19th century, emancipated Africans and their descendants questioned whether they would ever be able to improve their livelihood in the societies that enslaved them, or whether they would have better economic and social opportunities by going back to Africa. June Somo, former chair of the UN Permanent Forum on Peoples of African Descent, said, "The Pan-Africanist idea was and still is an important way to take back agency for the people and the Africans in the African continent." So that put all things to rest. And not only that, in the 1900s, we have our own Sylvester, that lawyer, oh, what was his first name? Henry Sylvester, from right here, who was born to enslave Africans right here in Tanapuna. He was a barrister at law. He went out and was working in Africa with Henry Kumar, I think it is, in Kumar, I think it was, in Kumar, yes. So when Ole want to talk, Ole Gubar, because Modi come here 2 months ago and tell Ole go get passport to go back. We doing that long time. Now I tell Ole don't know African history, stay out with business because Ole don't even know Ole own history. So let me continue. Ole know I had was to go and look for it and get it and talk it. So let me show you this. I always like to tell you about. Today might be a little longer, but Ole need to listen to this because sometimes when you don't know, you just allow people to talk to you all how and tell you all kind of foolishness. You need to know. So they like to talk about Africans in crime. And the face of crime is the African man. I want Ole to listen to this. I want Dr. Kate Mulhu. I want that whoever you name sing. I want all of them who just talk to listen to this.
Old Shady, Boise Singh. Have you actually heard about their stories? Let's take a look at it.
The first major criminal of notoriety in the history of Trinidad and Tobago was an East Indian man by the name of Boise Singh. Boise Singh, early last century, would take people's money to take them out on a boat. He will kill them, dump their bodies in the sea, and then come back to Trinidad as if he dropped them at a neighboring location. And Boise Singh, in Trinidad and Tobago's first and only serial killer to that extent, has never been used as a standard bearer to profile other East Indians who are in a similar situation to he was. But Boise Singh remains our most notorious serial killer of all time. Another major criminal of Trinidad and Tobago was Teddy Mice, whose real name was Shahzad Khan. And he was such a big fish in the drug trafficking underworld in the 1980s. And he had such influence and control over so many police officers and also so many Africans who used to work for him. This brings us to his uncle, Rafiq Puna Muhammad, uncle of Teddy Mice, one of 4 people charged with the murder of Port of Spain jeweler Surendra Maraj on December the 6th, 1986 at Grey Street in Port of Spain. Rafiq Puna Muhammad had a criminal empire that no black man to this date has had. Same with Nayam Naya, the San Juan Fruit King. Now, Nayam Naya had at least 10 police officers with rank on a monthly payroll. One former police officer said, according to the Scott Drug Report, Naya would send his goons to make drop-offs on the last working day of every month. And in the early 1980s, police officers were getting as much as $50,000 a month from him to look the other way and to also give advance warning of police raids and to assist his men in escorting cocaine from the coastline to the warehouses. East Indian drug lord, head of a criminal empire with multiple African employees. And of course, one of the most notorious criminals of all time, in Trinidad and Tobago as well, Nankisoon Boodram, also known as Dole Chady. Now, Dole Chady, in the mid-1990s, was charged for murder, and of course he and his gang were hanged. But prior to Dole Chady being charged for murder, the whole country knew of his lucrative drug trafficking, illegal criminal industry, that you could have stopped primary school children on the way to school and asked them, who's the biggest criminal in Trinidad? They would have said, Dole Chady. Everyone knew about him. But he had so many senior police officers on his payroll. And all of these, with the exception of Boise Singh, have a certain template. So whether it's Rafiq Puna Muhammad, whether it's Teddy Mice, whether it is Nayam Naya, the San Juan Fruit King, or Nankisoon Boodram, also known as Dole Chady, all of them top-level East Indian criminals at the head of a crime syndicate with African people doing their dirty work. Now, these 5 examples of 5 of the biggest criminals in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, all who are East Indian, would have been out of jail, while Africans who were employed by them were inside the jail. And this has been a pattern of criminality being black visibility, while those behind the scenes pulling the puppet strings have access to such high-profile criminal lawyers and friendships with judges and magistrates and other attorneys, and even corrupt police officers within the force, as the Scott Drug Report also named 46 senior police officers 2 of whom went on to become commissioners. Now, if after all of that, you're going to look at the tail end, black urban youth who is in the prison rotting away as a result of his complicity with drug lords, heads of cartels and criminal syndicates, and big fish white collar criminals. And you're going to say, well, the crime problem is these black youth who are committing all of these offenses on the street. Then you're blind, and we are much less likely to ever truly solve this crime problem.
So now, do you think that this crime problem could be solved, or might just be the same thing over and over again? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about it.
So I thought that was some good information for you all to know. I didn't say that's Dr. David Muhammad. He's well researched. I may not always agree, but when he comes to giving historical perspectives on things or bringing the historical evidence, as the word, he's always on point. It's my opinion. So when they're telling you black people in crime, that is not a lie, but who all the hate, all the big, all can make sense out of it, right? Make sense out of that. So let me continue. So that's later rest get Dr. Kurt Mayhew and all of them who start to posture themselves as if they're whiter than snow and them ancestors alone do, and we have shown that that is not true. We're not discounting what the ancestors would have done to help develop this country. We're not questioning that. We're not questioning that they may not have had an easy time when they came under indentureship. We're not questioning that. All we are saying, do not compare to enslavement. Do not dismiss the early builders of Trinidad, which were enslaved Africans, along with some who were freed, along with some who came here as indentured, along with those who came here on their own and looking for opportunities also. Don't discount the African when we're talking about development, because we were here since 1606 in Trinidad. So let me continue. So I'm seeing that China is making bold moves, because I needed to deal with this. So let me get back to my thing. That was a special interest history lesson there. So I'm seeing the same China is making bold moves. So let me see, what are the bold moves China is making?
It was a display like no other as China unveiled its modern military might during its 80th anniversary parade to commemorate the end of World War II. Flanked by leaders of Russia and North Korea, China signaling its diplomatic strength could rival that of the US-led world order. But what does all of this have to do with Trinidad and Tobago, you may ask? Well, in a world where global power is shifting and new alliances are forming, it raises a real question. Is sticking with the United States, Trinidad and Tobago's best move? Or should the government of the day be exploring new alliances, new partnerships that could shape our country's future in a very different way? According to historian Dr. Jerome Tilaksing, a war is underway.
The world is on the brink of a world war. What I foresee is that if a conflict does occur, millions will die, and it could mean long-term effects on us.
However, he thinks choosing sides may cost Trinidad and Tobago too much.
We don't have that clout, that global clout, to say who we are supporting or not. And the United States has a good relation with us in terms of not just for countering the drug trafficking, but for trade. And we cannot jeopardize that.
He says preparation is needed.
So I think we also have to look ahead. we have a budget coming up in a few weeks, and we have to be also looking at the price of oil, because if a war erupts, the Middle East will also take a stance. You would know, K. Marie, Iran was invited to that event today, so that Iran and other Middle Eastern countries will be taking a stance.
And while they both agree the country should maintain its neutrality, Dr. Amory Brown wants the government to explore new partnerships.
What is required of us is to intensify our relations in all directions at this time, including with the Latin American region, including with China, including with countries to the Far East, Singapore, Malaysia, other partners, including with our Europeans. So it cannot be one being pursued at the expense of others. And this is where a balanced foreign policy and wise diplomatic engagement comes into play. I'm not sure that is what is being deployed from Port of Spain at this time.
CNC3 News made several attempts to reach Foreign Affairs Minister Sean Sobers for comment on the issue. However, those efforts have gone unanswered. With talks of war growing louder, Trinidad and Tobago must now ask itself, where do we stand? And which side of history will we choose? The answer, only time will tell. K. Marie Fletcher, CNC3 News, Beijing.
So while this government seems to take this thing as a joke and feel them as the biggest deal makers and negotiators, them could end up getting outsmarted, because I find them not so stupid. They have all them have a stupidly looking look, by my opinion. But I want to ask that question: is our Honorable Prime Minister, is there any truth to it that she wouldn't be in the country, I think, from the 22nd of September, anywhere around there, so, and that she's going up to America, and it is to collect a check for $94 million from the Chinese? I'm asking a question. That's all I'm asking. So I'm seeing in Tobago now, the fisher folks, they say they are alarmed by the deafening silence of the Chief Secretary, Fali Augustine, following the United States destruction of a Venezuelan vessel that left 11 people dead. The strike took place on September the 2nd, 2025 in the Southern Caribbean. The U.S. claimed that the vessel was carrying drugs and linked to the Venezuelan gang, Tren de Agura. No one was arrested and no evidence has been presented publicly. Prime Minister Kamala Persad supported the American action, saying, I have no sympathy for traffickers. The U.S. military should kill them all violently. Debris believed to be from the destroyed vessel has since washed into Tobago waters. President of the All Tobago Fisherfolk Association, Curtis Douglas, confirmed fishermen found the debris. Is it true? Is it not? It is true. It is not no make-up story. It's fishermen discover it, he said. Douglas warned that local fishermen fear that they would be mistaken for traffickers. Our fishermen go 40 to 50 miles very deep, and they could easily be mistaken for doing whatever, drugs or whatever, and being blown into the water, he said. He added numerous members of the fishing organization of fishermen are concerned that the THA Secretary, Fali Chavez Augustine, is very mute in a situation like this. Tobagonians are very, very deeply concerned how a leader of the THA hasn't said anything comforting to give fisher folk the reassurance that it's okay for us to go out in the sea and fish. Attempts to contact the Chief Secretary for comments were unsuccessful. It is alleged he's in Canada, I'm not sure. But all they want fisher folks, with all due respect in Tobago, all they want Fali Chavez Augustine to comfort all, to tell all it's okay to go out there. Let me tell all something. This is my opinion. All you have to make a decision and use all your intuition. I know that's what you all depend on. That is all you live in. And if you're not fishing, your family at all, I understand that. But use your intuition, use your common sense to understand if you're out there 50 and only say 40 to 50 feet deep out there, and only get mistaken and something, whatever the case may be. Don't look for empathy and sympathy from THA, nor this government. They might turn around and say, we already doing out there, and we might very well get labeled. So I know it's hard. I don't know how they're going to do it. Maybe if only could fish closer to shore, I don't know nothing about fishing, but only between a rock and a rockier place. All my empathies go to yes, I don't know. I don't know. Only looking for comforting words. So if Fali say, no, go ahead and fish, then go do it. Only go. On Fali word, or on the Prime Minister word, hey. Oh, Jesus. Take the wheel. So I'm seeing here in September the 7th, Daily Express, court dismisses Vincent Nelson's $98 million claim. And all you know who Vincent Nelson is the lawyer from, he's a Jamaican, I think he's a Queen's Counsel, whatever. He did working for the state, and the state had kicked back, and he called lawyer's name and the AG name, who was a part of that with whoever, the thing go to court, and whatever. And he was suing the government for money because of something, whatever. I ain't feel to go through all that. All I know, if his case is dismissed, will the case with the two lawyers and one who is an AG and a lawyer, will their case be taken up again? Because one of them, I think he's the chairman of the board of NGC, if I'm not mistaken. So will their case now be taken back up by the court? I don't know. I asked that question. Hello. Emil Elias. Emil Elias is a engineer or contractor or architect, whatever. He has a construction something. He is suggesting that the US dollar should be $90 to $1 US, from which part it is now 6 and whatever. He finds that is a good idea, probably because he know he cushion. Because when we money devalue, US dollar go up, any secondary school child or somebody sitting SPA could tell you that will mean an increase in goods and services, because it will take more TT dollars now to buy something. For instance, if you used to pay $1 US, $6 TT to buy something, that same thing that was $1 US is now going to be $9 TT to buy it. So it means you have to dip in your pocket now for extra $3 or $4 to buy the thing that was costing you before at $6. So when you add that across the board to everything on goods and services, is we go feel it. So that is the solution for the Forex problem. So this is what economists are saying in the Daily Express. I'm waiting for it to load. Hey! Come on, man, right. So this was September the 8th, which is today. Will the valuation of the TT dollar work? Economists reject Elias' call for evaluation. Businessman Emil Elias has appealed to Prime Minister Kamala Persad to raise the exchange rate for the US dollar from TT 680 to $9. The suggestion from the executive chairman of NH International Caribbean Limited has drawn heated debate given the country's current forex crisis, and especially as the UNC government prepares to deliver its first national budget since winning the April 20th general election. Here are responses from two economists to this suggestion. Indira Sajiwan. A devaluation may appear at first glance as a fix for the current forex shortage the country is experiencing. But once you drill down, it comes crashing in. Yes, a devaluation will make the cost of US dollar more expensive and therefore reduce the demand. But it will hit those who can't afford. Individual households and MSMEs really hard. They will be the main casualties. Parents needing forex for kids studying abroad, persons needing medical care abroad, and those, of course, of the lower middle income vacationers will have to downsize or forego that planned trip. Micro and small business will face increasing costs, become less competitive, and face closure. We are a high import consuming people, that's a fact. Moreover, our manufacturing sector has a high import content. A devaluation renders our exports less competitive, and added to the US 15% tariff, a recipe for troubled waters. In fact, it could result in less forex earning by non-energy exporters. Devaluation will seriously exacerbate inflation, pushing up the cost of living for everyone. But the most vulnerable will feel it the most, as most basic food items comprising their food basket is imported: rice, flour, onion, garlic, potatoes, all beans. Most people are still recovering from the COVID-19 onslaught on living standards and the post-COVID additional inflationary onslaught. There is no quick fix to this problem. It's systematic or systemic, and that's that's where the focus needs to be placed. Non-energy export diversification. This must be prioritized. In the short term, I share the position articulated by the governor of the central bank: increase interest rates, apply import control, and I add, use moral suasion with the commercial banks. We should not have scarce forex allocated to imported avocados, watermelon, Hungarian pumpkin, sweet potatoes, or sweet peppers. Let's use policy to cut that food import bill drastically. It will immediately incentivize local production. We produce cereal, yet our shelves are loaded with foreign options. Let's forego this for a while and give the economy a minute to recover. I'm gonna fix my glasses because I have somebody to read, because I have something to say. This could be a good time to have our private sector make a real effort to shift from distribution to value-added manufacturing and export. It is easy to secure a foreign distributorship or franchise. Takes much more effort to be innovative and start something new, but there are so many low-hanging fruits: tourism, value-added to cocoa, superfood, etc. We need a deep dive with a cutting blade into our current import to distinguish needs from wants. They use the blade, but simultaneously and more aggressively incentivize and encourage new forex earning sources. That was Indira Sajuan. Now we have Dr. Valkimi Arjun. Calls for devaluation intensify when the forex shortages bite harder. But in our case, a devaluation is unlikely to solve the problem. And if too steep, could make matters worse, reducing unnecessary imports such as food, as we can produce locally our luxury items. It's important, yet many essential pharmaceuticals, clothing, electronics, and technology cannot be substituted locally, as we lack the capacity or know how to produce them. Importers will still have to pay these goods, will still have to buy these goods, passing the higher cost from a devaluation on to consumers. The outcome is predictable: rising prices, inflationary pressures, demands for higher wages, and a more expensive environment for doing business, eroding competitiveness instead of strengthening it. Any rate adjustment, if at all pursued, should remain within the framework of the managed float and be gradual, paired with measures to contain inflation from higher import costs. More importantly, it must be coupled with reforms that expand investment, raise production, and remove the many barriers of doing business so that exports can grow and the root of forex problems can be addressed. Reduce forex supply. At the core of our forex challenge stems from a sharp reduction in supply. We earn most of our forex from exports, with energy commodities accounting for about 80% of total units. In the past decade, oil and gas production has declined steeply, cutting inflow. With less energy revenue flowing in, the supply of forex has tightened, leaving banks and businesses competing for a shrinking pool of US dollar. Also, our key energy exports, oil, LNG, and petrochemicals, are priced and paid for in USD, that's US dollars, on the international markets. Using global benchmark and not by using global benchmark and not in Trinidad and Tobago or TT dollar by local producers. A weaker TT dollar, therefore, does not make these commodities cheaper for foreign buyers. The only way to increase foreign exchange inflow from energy is through higher global prices and or greater local production, requiring a more competitive exploration and upstream sector. Devaluation, therefore, cannot raise forex earnings from the energy sector. I would leave it there, and I want to read something. They talk about the low-income earner. Why didn't talk about the 40,000, the 10,500 CPAP workers as Kamala and them fire one day, and then all the reforestation workers who get fired? One man who was working there, a father, committed suicide. He and the wife was working together there. They fired both of them, suicide. And the other issues and social issues are coming out, and the 40,000 now raising every day. And workers who get fired. And you see when Minister Stuart Young, MP Stuart Young, who was Minister Energy, was the Prime Minister at the time, tell we on the campaign trail that in the UNC's manifesto, they plan to reduce the TT dollar. So it's 15 TT dollar to $1 US. All you take down, all the feel is a joke. Now, immediately liars talking about 9-1. You hear the economists jump out now to say no, don't do that because they realize it's watermelon and flour. When Stuart Young was talking, why all of them then come out and support him and say we can't deal with an evaluation? And if that do what the UNC going to do, listen, they better change their mind with who they do. They didn't do that, but now watermelon and flour, because they realize, and this is my opinion, like Tanku cannot budget the budget. And if they have no money because it is alleged, they can't get money borrowed from the local banks. They don't have money. So I'm asking again, is it true that our Prime Minister is going up to America to collect a check for $94 million from the Chinese? Is that money, if it is true, is to put to buffer the budget? Because you remember, them have back pay to get. I want to know if they get a back pay yet. From the money where they say Dr. Rowley take for himself and all of them get a new salary and it have back pay with it. I wonder if they don't get back pay. And the 10%, will Felicia Thomas encourage people to vote for the UNC because she say the start saying it's 10%, you get anybody starting point of negotiation is 10%. People waiting on their money. I haven't heard the President General of Daily Rated Workers, NUGFW, Mr. Comrade Christopher Skeet. I hear you, you're silent. While you're silent, daily rated officers still going home and waiting till they're 65 years old to get old age pension like they never work in the country. That is a disgrace. But the people who in NUGFW, who work in there, who is daily rated officers, because you have to be from the daily rated space to come there, or they have pension plans for them. But the daily rated officer working in all over the place, Central Hospital, all the hospitals, and all other places, who is painters, who is carpenter, who is mason, electrician, who is plumbers, who is food delivery workers, who working in labor office, who working in all the areas. They have to wait till they're 65 years old. So they just getting the NIS at 60, and that wait till they're 65 years old, the day after the birthday, to go and get a form from social welfare and fill it out to apply to get old age pension, like they never work in this country. I ain't hearing you saying nothing. I ain't hearing you saying nothing. All I hear daily was, we go get the money come Christmas, we go get it so, and we go get it next month, we go get it next month, and we go get it the next year. That's all you're hearing. You see all this the same blasted thing. That is my opinion. But let me come to you. Let me just read this now. Tell my father was a daily rated worker, you know. So when I talk, I'm my two uncles. So when I talk about them things, me talking because I just want to talk. I know how it was, and since in them time, they retired without a blasted pension, and they work in the schools. My father was a carpenter. They work in the school. Them time they used to have daily rated workers working in school. When the bench break down, is the carpenters. When the school the painters, the painters. When the plumbing go bad, is the plumbers. Working in schools all over Trinidad and Tobago. And still to this day, they don't have a blasted pension. That a wait till they're 65, like they never produce in this country, to go to line up and write up to get $2,500, $500 in old age pension. When that gonna be there for the people and them who never worked nowhere and really had to get a little thing to live by, and they would have a pension plan with their work so they could get a pension like how monthly paid workers has get. But I understand it is alleged. Everything was done up already just for Lambert to sign it as alleged that they could have a pension plan since how much years ago, and it never signed. And he was in the UNC, he was senator, he could have acted as the president of the country. And up to now, all your goodies, all your business fixed nice, and daily rated officers going home with nothing. Anyway, I kind of think, but oh God, I just have to talk it, boy, because I know plenty daily rated officers still. So this was written by former Senator Obika. He holds an MBA in finance, a BSc in economics. So when he talk, you know what he's talking about. He given his knowledge on this whole thing about where Elias talking about. So this is what it says. Let me state from the onset, I am opposed to the devaluation of the TT dollar. The premise is flawed. The market may not necessarily find equilibrium. It is more likely to cause an upward spiral in prices triggered by imported inflation. The sudden immediate rise in the prices of everything by 30% from an increase in the rates of the TT the sudden immediate rise in the prices of everything by 30% from an increase in the rate of exchange from 6.8 TT to 9 TT to $1 US will turn life into a living hell for many citizens. That is in addition to those tens of thousands already experiencing the nightmare of losing their jobs in the past 4 months. The persons who argue that the prices of the currency will settle 9 TT to $1 US to do so with no evidence. The reality is that they have not demonstrated that prices will settle or that the devaluation will not simply push the black market prices from 7.50 to 8 TT up to $1 US, as it is said to be at present up to 10 plus. Workers to face 30% cut in salary value. What about those 5,000 odd members of the labor force on fixed income? Fixed income earners will suffer if the government devalues the dollar. Pensioners, minimum wage earners, students paying fees for overseas exams like ACCA, law, business, or other fields of study. Saving value will fall by 30% overnight. The value of your savings in the bank will fall, contributing to the manufactured chaos. Multi-millionaire business persons acting as free advisors to the government, asking them to devalue the dollar, should keep quiet. They have the fortune of having their asset invested where it is unaffected by inflation. They also stand to benefit because their wage bill will fall in relative terms and they can always raise their product prices to keep up with inflation. It is the masses who will suffer. The devaluation of the dollar will cause people to face the fires of income loss and higher costs of living. This time, if the city burned down, unlike Maximus dance song, we might not be jamming still. That is former Senator Obika. Yeah? Okay. That all you vote for. All you remember this? All you remember this? Or if I could find it here. Which part it is? Director, you could find it from where MP Young was speaking about the UNC going to raise the US dollar by devaluing it to 15 to 1. It was somewhere here. Oh Lord, I hope I did not.
The UNC's National Economic Transformation Master Plan 2020 to 2025. This is Kamala's plan. As soon as we highlighted that they're going to devalue the dollar, if you go on their website today, they have taken it down because they are dishonest and all they seek to do is mislead Trinidad and Tobago.
Based on further investigations, Young also claimed that the UNC's plan includes selling state assets. He emphasized that these assets are critical to the government's ability to provide employment for citizens.
National Gas, NLCB, National Quarries, NP, MTS, Caribbean Airlines, NEDCO, TTT, Tekk, WASA, E-Tech, Lake Asphalt, the port. Those are the UNC's plans. And watch and see how they try to distance themselves. Trinidad and Tobago, you are being cautioned and advised.
He cautioned the citizens about their choices ahead of the election, maintaining that if the UNC is elected, the country could face dire consequences.
Next week, Monday, if you take God out of your thoughts and you decide not to go and vote, and you decide not to vote for red, ready, and responsible PNM government, that, in addition to a devaluation of 15 to 1, in addition to the IMF reaching here within a year, will be what we will have to deal with.
Joshua Dan, Tobago Updates, the Television News.
Since we are still in a tight financial spot, I would also urge that they consider the divestments or sale of certain state assets or state entities, because the proceeds from these sales will help to meet state spending without necessarily putting extra pressure on the debt levels. Plus, some of these entities and assets soak up a lot of much needed state finances each year through transfers, and these same state funds could be repurposed to more productive avenues.
With food security remaining a key area to be addressed, Dr. Arjun had this advice.
A clear plan could also be presented to lower the food import bill. This is something that I expect to see and to revamp, in order to revamp the agricultural sector through introducing, for example, smart agricultural technologies and practices locally that can optimize the agricultural production per acreage. Again, in line with the diversification thrust and reducing the dependency on food imports.
Right? That is Dr. Valkimi Arjun right before the election. And I just read what he's saying here. You see them, that's no. Let me see if he talk anything about. Let's see. It's trying to be particular, supposed to boost, making local was more affordable. The subject of problem. So he said there's a perception that a weaker TT dollar is supposed to boost export. That is talking now. Export and making local goods more affordable abroad, but this logic mainly applies to economies that can source their own production inputs like raw material. Let me see what he said. He said a steep devaluation will therefore punish the very firms we want to expand, the micro and small businesses, as it will discourage investment and cause them to downsize their operation or close when they cannot cope with the increased costs. All of them talking more firm now. Before the titty vein, they're talking firm now. We say here again, what has exacerbated the issue of the forex is no longer simply treated as currency, but also as valuable asset used to create more wealth for those with access to it. In this way, authorized dealers also deploy it in ways that maximize their own profits, such as investing in overseas portfolios, and that is what Senator Biga, former Senator Biga, was saying, that the person who talking about the value of the dollar to 9, their money protected, them have portfolio, they, so them could talk that. But the poor man who done lost their work, and the poor man on the ground, on the street, we don't have them kind of protection. With money in the bank will come to nothing. Right? So I'm still on that topic, they may come here. Because I tell you that them UNC ministers and them somehow something, I don't know if it's eye dress thing, I find that it's look it's some of them. This is what sing man. 20 hours ago in the Guardian. So what sing challenge central bank governor, no forex cartel claim. He may not have all the info. So all they get Larry Hawaii, who was the minister finance the last time, $11 million man or whatever to leave First Citizen Bank. He was the minister of finance under the UNC back when the PT government entered 15. Well, it was Mr. Whitson took around first and then he think. All they went and get it back. All they run the former central bank man from the central bank, where he had to take all that to court because all that jumpy the man. And I know he go win that money based on labor law, based on that law. All they put Larry Hawaii there. All they I go play it for later here. Then they talking about forex cartel and all kind of thing. And when they come in, when they go do whatever it is, the central bank governor say to have that. No, so what sing? The one who has been in all the bacchanal with the, oh gosh, who it was, boy? The woman from the central bank will let her pass and he says she go and she going on holiday and whatever. Then he end up in the same bacchanal with the former central bank governor. But he like them thing, he like to put his nose in thing we know nothing about. So he want to say now how I don't know what he talking about. How I work in the central bank, not central bank now, First Citizen Bank in the banking sector for years. So I just read a little piece. Minister of Planning, Economic Affairs and Development, Kenny Sawat Singh, has challenged central bank governor assertion that there is no evidence of a foreign exchange cartel, saying the lack of proof does not guarantee one does not exist. But wait, I now see why all they could agree with what happened out in the seas there with whatever America say happened. Because America say there was Arajun people from the gang, wherever, and all they say, okay. The central bank man is letting all they know, it ain't no cartel. You were saying, not because, what? Let me read it again. Not because there's no evidence of the foreign exchange cartel, saying that the lack of proof does not guarantee one does not exist. I've never heard more foolishness in the banking sector. Is the banking sector you're talking about no, man? This is what Kamla Prasad says, and them tell the population, everybody get hyper. Yes, lock them up, lock them up, lock up the PNM, lock up Rowley. Listen to she here.
Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa says her cabinet will soon lift the veil on what she has described as a foreign exchange cartel operating in Trinidad and Tobago. During Thursday's post-cabinet briefing at the Red House, the Prime Minister said a full report on the forex distribution and leakages over the past decade is being prepared.
Ministers Tanku, Swat Singh and Kama Maraj, they have been mandated also to bring a report on forex distribution and leakages over the past 10 years.
Prasad Bisesa, as she spoke on the matter of forex at her cabinet's second briefing since forming the government, she confirmed that the long-suppressed CLICO report will be laid in Parliament, calling it vital to understanding and preventing future financial crisis.
The taxpayers cannot keep bailing out loss-making state enterprises. So we plan to deal with that in the near term. We also plan to deal with the property tax issue and to sort out the issues with CLICO in the coming months. That CLICO report we will lay it in Parliament. I think it was really, really intolerable that the government hid that CLICO report from the Parliament and therefore from the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
The Prime Minister said the report will identify who accessed foreign exchange, why they received it, and how it was used, adding that it will expose those behind unfair and questionable distribution practices.
That was one of the greatest economic meltdowns that we have had, and therefore we deserve to know why, what, when, where, how, and what recommendations there are to prevent such contagion from taking place in our economy.
Prasad Bisesa emphasized that transparency and accountability are critical as her administration moves to address long-standing concerns in the management of the country's financial and state resources. Kimberly Mitchell, Tobago Updates, Television News.
That was them in the press conference. They convinced it of a cartel, foreign cartel. Blah, blah, blah. No, the $11 million man, I know how much he get his time. I don't know. He's the central bank man now. The man say, no, they have to save face. That is my opinion. So listen to this. Me know they're saving face with this one.
November 14th, then Minister of Finance Colin Mbut said a 50% hike in the use of credit cards could be partially blamed for Trinidad and Tobago's current foreign exchange crunch. Liar, there's a foreign exchange mafia, and if we come into power, we're going to bust the mark on the first day of office. Big elections take place, right? We had a short election cycle, but even though it was a short election cycle, that April month real drag. That month had no sense whatsoever. Insults, cussing on social media. All the racists jumped out from their holes. Boom, we had a new prime minister. With a new prime minister, new cabinet, new ministers, and a new governor of the central bank. Bring it forward, Friday, 5th September 2025. New governor of the central bank says foreign exchange spending via credit cards usage has increased by over $1.5 billion in the past decade. This was revealed by Central Bank Governor Larry Hawaii during his engagement with the media at Central Bank yesterday. So he went through that whole election cycle, hundreds of millions up in smoke, just for somebody new to come and tell us the exact same thing that this man was telling us 10 months ago. Why is credit card spending was the first thing everybody jumping on? Talk about how much money going to the car dealerships and them. Let's hear about that. Let's hear about how much money PriceSmart getting. We want to hear about this U.S. currency cabal, this mafia you all spoke about during elections. You want to hear about that. And while we on this topic, what is up with people stating the obvious? Political economist Dr. Derek Ramsamuj has warned that TNT's persistent foreign exchange crisis is not the result of recent missteps, but the cumulative effects of decades of economic mismanagement on unchecked consumption patterns. You had to be an economist to learn this.
All went down a rabbit hole. When I say all know what I'm talking about. But when the UNC get a jingling all their head, when everybody win, a jingle and a slogan, the code is yellow. And then the backstory was Rowley wicked, Rowley evil, the country had, we suffering, Rowley don't like black people, he's suffering, he Rowley get money for himself, he take big salary for himself, he take a big payout for himself, he get $1 million in pension, he don't like nobody. And everybody jump on that, not knowing there's 900 and something public officers, senior public officers, who get an increase in salary too since 2013. Not telling them that when in 2013, when the SRC came to the government at the time to show the increases to get, that the government, along with certain members of the opposition, said that money not with that money not enough. Go back, bring something new for we buy. They come back with something new. What Dr. Rowley was to say, go back again, not getting an increase since 2013. You take it, they went back. When they come to all of the first time, all they say it's not enough money. All they talk that and tell people, all they refuse what the SRC brought as a salary increase all the back in about 2013 or 14. UNC was in office, all they didn't take it, all they tell them go back. They went back and they come back. Dr. Rowley happened to be the prime minister and he said, I'm taking it. But he take it for himself, he take it for 900 and something senior public officers too. All they ain't talk but people get chained up. Dr. Rowley wicked. The country had all the time, always saying that cars selling out and all them car dealership. You ain't talking about no foreign, what do you call it, foreign news kind of. I talking about the showroom. Grocery start a bill. Big grocery where you could lost in it was billing. You can't build grocery and selling food and people ain't buying. Sets selling out, concerts selling out, people flying out, things nice. Well, people say when in bad house, you know, people as live. When in good house, people as live bad house call it. All it was in a good house with Dr. Rowley, he was just strict father, watch me. Do your work proper, do your chores, you could get a thing. If you ain't do it, nothing for you. All they want that. All they look across the road and see Shanti and their mother. She drinking, the father beating she, they dropping on the ground, they cussing whatever. You like it, the train running wild all over. They have no chores, nothing. Anything goes, anything goes. All little business. All they like it across there. When they go on across, they realize I will go back home, yes, I don't be hungry here. They may have no order, they may bathing, they may doing nothing. That was going to tell you now. Listen to this. All they have Tanku as the Minister of Finance over a man like Comember. Comember may not be the best loved person in Trinidad and Tobago, but he could have do the blasted work. And that is what we wanted. Listen to this.
Our present Minister of Finance is trying to convince the population that the previous administration would have left the economy in a mess. Let's look at what the international rating agencies would have had to say, because remember, evidence is key, right? So Standards and Poor's, the international rating agency, confirms Trinidad and Tobago credit rating at BBB-, which is an investment grade rating. Standards and Poor's affirms Trinidad and Tobago investment grade rating. You're seeing the evidence on the screen. I didn't make it up. So probably Standards and Poor's is a PNM party group. Now, what did Moody have to say? So let's read again. So Moody moves Trinidad ratings from positive to stable. So probably Moody is a PNM party group as well. I wonder if Heavy, when they are talking that level of garbage, they had this information and deliberately suppressed this information. You're seeing the ratings on the screen. What did the IMF have to say? Trinidad and Tobago economy on the road to recovery. The IMF also said, the IMF commends TNT on economic recovery and fiscal discipline. Economic recovery and fiscal discipline. And again, you're seeing the chart. You see, what these people deliberately do, they deliberately suppress evidence, if only to push their disgusting, dishonest narrative. All these rating agencies had given our economy a positive outlook. So again, how did we move from people getting their salaries every fortnight, every month, to problems galore presently? You do the maths.
All I hear that. I want to play Stuart, like Stuart, that crystal ball with the things he's saying. Listen to Stuart.
And remember, I told you this here tonight. First thing they will say, get rid of CPEP. Get rid of UR. Get rid of reforestation. All the contract workers in the government, get rid of them. If the UNC gets their way and they start with their bag of poison goodies, it is going to lead to a devaluation. If UNC wins, you lose.
We were one. But they didn't want the Chinese man because they said the PNM is a black party. They didn't like Dr. Rowley. They didn't like how Dr. Rowley hold things in an order and he bring all of them into the PNM. He bring all of them who was marginalized. He bring them in. And what they do? Eh? Stab him in the back, in neck, and all kind of thing. Oh no, they still bad talking the man. Eh? He used the constitution and put Minister Stuart Young. He didn't do it just so. All they went and voted in a caucus 11-9. If all they didn't like what going on when all they had the general council meeting, no matter what they tell, all they should have stand up and say, we're not supporting security. All they didn't do that. All they signed and it went to the president and he became the prime minister. And all they make all their own colleagues feel all they supporting him, all they dangerous boy. All they up and down and meeting and laughing with the man and thing going and all they out there plotting. It had to be because look all the thing end up and they want to drop it on Dr. Rowley. And because of Dr. Rowley, they call the election early. All of them only blasted time my election was going to call in 2025. So whether it come early, it come later, whatever the hell it is, it was coming. So it wasn't supposed to be prepared all the time. The election machinery wasn't supposed to be in gear all the time. But it had nothing happening. The social media officer wasn't doing nothing. If it wasn't for the no MP, Dominic Romaine, and people like myself, and those who was on radio, and Darian Marcel, and others, all them warriors and them on social media who did what we jamming, trying to get the information out. Too much to mention now. Well, me and opinion, I might have get about 5 seats. Who caused the defeat? Because and then all of us turn on ball, it's kind of difficult for a government to win 3 elections. Okay, this was the 3rd one. So the PNM win. So why all the ball is the fault of Dr. Rowley and Stuart Young now? All the too tied up and confusion is all they have we in this. All in the PNM who was going around and telling people don't vote for no Stuart Young, no Chinese man, no 1%, because this is a black party and it's supposed to be penny and it's supposed to be this one and that one and this one and that one. All they take that and all they push them. And all who went out they walk now and suffering should come by all and ask for something. It's all I saying that in my opinion have we in this position. Along with them who choose not to go and vote because they want to vote and whatever the case may be. All they contribute to what we in here today. Let me continue. Now they get tired up, yes? I want to tell all I saying this. Nobody have to tell me to say nothing. Stuart Young don't need the PNM, you know. Let me say it again. Stuart Richard Young SC don't need the PNM, you know. You want to tell how the thing go? The PNM, they could cost me. I don't care. Because when is the truth is the truth. Costing me when stop what I say. And then no. When they sit down in the quarters, what did I be saying about penalty Beckers? Miss Beckers, I coming to you just now that. Just hold a minute. I coming to you just now. As I say again, let me say it, read my lips. Stuart Richard Young, SC, don't need the PNM. No? The PNM need Stuart Richard Young and all them who can stand up and work diligently to fight for this country. But you have sorry about that. You have again, when it comes to labor, me and people just getting things, don't tell me nothing about McGill. That McGill, that me hero, anything. I ain't stop saying that because that's how I felt. I know what I saw and how she treated the situation. I saw that. I don't know all the other things that I saw. I don't know that. You see, when it comes to politics, politics think I don't like it. All they talk about Dr. Rowley, all and this, whatever it is. You leave PSS in 2009 and you were 60 years old today. This year is 2025. You are deputy political leader of the PNM. What young people you could bring to the PNM? Comment, but say this was the last election, blah, blah, whatever the case may be. He old too. The country don't like he was young people. He was good as a minister of finance. Get Jackie Jacket. What young people he could bring to the PNN? I have nothing much to say about Dr. Sanjay Budu because he now come in the scene. And I don't understand how he now come and whatever. But you know, he's a young man, he's very energetic, he's very enthusiastic. But I leave that alone. But look at who all they have there. Who all they could encourage? to come in the PNM. And then the political leader, by the time election comes, she must be almost 70 or something. So what are they going with that? Anyway, as I was saying, I will come to that just now. Let me say it again. Stuart Richard Young don't need the PNM, you know, to love a country and think you and patriotic people, you know. The PNM more needy, you know. So they go along with all the choppiness about black party and black party. Why the hell all they form a black lobby group to put pressure on any government in office? That sounds better. But they go with all the black party. Let me see who is the black or they go get to invest. All they play all the chopping. I comment to the opposition leader just now. I comment. Let me just clear up this thing. I want Mr. Roger, I want to ask he and MS, well, not MSG so much, but Mr. Roger, in 2017, in the Daily Express, it says here, Roger and Union pledge solidarity with Maduro. Roger and the unions, they didn't say a union, they didn't say OWT, they said Roger and the unions, like 2017, pledge solidarity with Maduro. Who Maduro? President Nicolas Maduro. Beneath a photograph of late Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez, Venezuelan Ambassador Coromoto Godoy Calderon, I probably have it wrong, trade union movement, Joint Trade Union Movement, JTUM, President Ansel Roger pledged his solidarity with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and the working class outside the Venezuelan embassy on Victoria Avenue, Port of Spain on Thursday. People, this was in 2017. Let me read it again because I'm going deep into this. Let me read it again. Beneath a photograph of late Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez, Venezuelan Ambassador Coromoto Godoy Calderon, and Joint Trade Union Movement JTUM President Ansel Roger pledged their solidarity with current Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and the working class outside the Venezuelan embassy on Victoria Avenue, Port of Spain on Thursday. Roger also made reference to the dark forces which were attempting to topple Maduro's government and the misinformation which was being fed to the world by the mass media. Let me read that again, people, if you didn't hear it. Roger also made reference to the dark forces which were attempting to topple Maduro's government and the misinformation which was being fed by the world to the world by mass media. Amongst those present were Roberto Benacia, President of the Industrial Sanitation and General Workers Union, Kyla Robinson, Vice President of Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association. Let me say that again. 2017. Amongst the people who standing up in solidarity with President Nicolas Maduro against the dark forces that was feeding the world misinformation about Venezuela was Robert Benacia, President of the Industrial Sanitation and General Workers Union, Kyla Robinson, Second Vice President of Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, TUTA, Ozzy Warwick, Oilfields Workers Trade Union, OWTU, Education and Research Officer, and Vincent Cabrera, President of the Banking and General Workers Union. 2017. Father, hey. Now today, the government that OWTU, Roger and them support, cannot facade the system, is siding with America. Again, I will keep saying, if what they say they come to truth with drug trafficking and all that and whatever, and it is done in the legal way, good. We see some moves happening and people saying certain things and we confused, and then we Prime Minister telling the Americans kill them violently. And she also tell them, anytime Venezuela make any move on Guyana, she will allow them to come on we independent sovereign soil to fire attack against Venezuela, who is we neighbor. When them gone, and we don't get shut up, we with enemy with everybody. We're Roger and them today to talk them standing in solidarity with President Nicolas Maduro in 2017. Who they standing in solidarity with? Well, let me kind of wind on this thing. It's a thing I go read. Wednesday, don't worry. Information still there. Just in Barbados today, let me see if I can get this open quick. Otherwise, I'll leave that and move on. The 6/39 month 2025, the Caribbean sees as a zone of peace, not a battlefield. Right? That is what Barbados today, that way CARICOM saying. I hear it has some summit, something for CARICOM out in Africa. Where who won for we? Who won for we? Are we still part of CARICOM or Trinidad and Tobago is no longer part of CARICOM? All they go there, yellow is the code. Hey! Oh, Jesus. Xiao tell me they're going to devalue the dollar. We hear the talking that now. Xiao said the first thing they cut in is URP. Nobody says CPEP. He put it in an order. CPEP. CPEP get lick up. URP get lick up. Reforestation. Contract work any public service. But don't vote for the Chinese. Father. Let me continue. Everybody in the Caribbean, CARICOM countries, other than nothing, Guyana is saying, and Trinidad and Tobago is saying the Caribbean, CARICOM is about peace. This is a space of peace. Let me talk it out. I will play earlier, not today, Wednesday, when this Prime Minister, when she was former Prime Minister, went to Hugo Chavez's funeral across Caracas. I will play that for you. Let me think it's done. Let me continue. I will play that. Because I want to go into something. Because see me, I need to go on. I don't drink alcohol. So I want to take a drink of water. No, I have a LLB ginger something. I go and take a drink of that and take a big belch. Let me continue. I will play all them other thing. I want to come to something. Let me just see if I could play this here quick. Hey, listen to this.
Venezuela is the issue that really opened my eyes to the nature of U.S. imperialism. In college, I really wanted to know what was actually going on there, because I just kept hearing, oh, you like socialism? Why don't you go to Venezuela? So when it came time to choose a topic for my undergraduate thesis, I chose Venezuela and their relationship to the U.S. And the more I studied, the more absurd lies I uncovered, which really opened my eyes to the nature of the U.S. media, which almost universally supports overthrowing the Venezuelan government while accusing them of having the muzzled press. While in reality, there's far more diversity of opinion in Venezuela's media than there is in America's. This claim that their government controls everything is just incorrect. The corporate media also loves to say that socialism made them over-dependent on oil. And again, that's not true. Venezuela's oil was pillaged by Western corporations for almost 80 years. Which means that the oil industry developed much faster than any of the others, and they became dependent on it. That's not something that Hugo Chavez did. It was US and British imperialism. Or what about this idea that they're against democracy and they rig every election from the top down, which is almost universally accepted by the American press? Well, hundreds of election observers, including former US President Jimmy Carter, have said that's not true, with Carter even calling their electoral system the best in the entire world. Not to mention that the US-backed Venezuelan opposition actually won the National Assembly elections in 2015. What, was that the only election that they forgot to rig? And you want to talk about democracy? In 2002, the US helped to kidnap Venezuela's democratically elected president and installed this guy, some rich US-backed oligarch who nobody voted for or even liked. Is that what democracy looks like? When the CIA gets to kidnap your president and install a new one? All these accusations are such a load of horseshit, guys. I'm telling you, the more you look into it, the more you'll see it. And if you want to get started in doing that research, you can check out my thesis, which is published on MidwesternMarks.com.
Okay. Let me read this here from Lennox Shamshaw. I have one also from, oh gosh, this guy I love to read from also, Miss Michael Dehani, but I'll leave that to Wednesday, God's there. So this is what Lennox Shamshaw, what was the name, proper name? Lennox Shamshaw. He says, Kamala and the UNC trick about stupidity. The illegal nonsense that Kamala is promoting, that it is all right for Trump to break international law, is trickling down to UNC imbecilic supporters who cannot think for themselves. They have accepted Trump's claim, hook, line, and sinker. And the men on the vessel that was blown out of the waters were trendy Argura terrorists, drug smugglers. Unfortunately, Trump provided no evidence that 11 men were terrorist drug traffickers and the boat was filled with drugs. They could have been migrants fleeing Venezuela. Therefore, none of Trump's claim can be verified and the whole incident is shrouded in secrecy. However, just imagine if it were Maduro who had the military build up in the region instead of Trump. And what if Maduro's forces had blown up a boat with TNT and Colombian terrorists smuggling drugs into Venezuela to overthrow the government? Would Kamala be all right with that because Maduro was protecting his law-abiding citizens? Hell no. All you would be hearing from her is, bring the evidence. So why is this political hustler not conveying this same message to Trump? We already know that her dumb sheepy cannot see his unadulterated hypocrisy. By the way, if President Maduro is such an evil dictator as Trump claims, why is Trump sending Venezuelan migrants back home when they flee their homeland for the freedom in America? As a close ally of Trump, can Kamala give us some insights into the phenomenon? Also, Trump is currently contemplating striking the narco traffickers and drug terrorists inside Venezuela. Yet, he is sending back the Venezuelan migrants, some as young as 8 years old, whom he deems as violent criminals, drug smugglers, and gang members of the Tren de Aragua back to Venezuela. Why? So he can't bomb them there instead of using the American judicial system and imprisoning them if found guilty. Another situation for Kamala to explain is if Trump carries out his intention and conducts strikes inside Venezuela, causing Maduro allies, China and Russia, to come to his aid, are these two powers justifying claiming that if Trump touches one, he touches all of them? Kamala ignorant supporters just cannot see how their fearless leader is putting her administration, and by extension, our country, in a quandary. All because she has eschewed TRT's and CARICOM's traditional stance of neutrality and non-interference by throwing her full support behind America's dumbest president, pathological liar, convicted sex offender Trump. Kamala is so confident in her and Trump's ignorance that she is backing up intemperate and histrionic statements, not realizing the trauma she is putting this country through. Could it be that Trump has grabbed her by the two knees? So that there was from Leonard Shamshaw, not my words. What side of history is this country going to be on at the end of this thing? What side of history will we choose? Let me see what is happening with France here.
France joins U.S. in the Caribbean. What's next? The Caribbean region is suddenly in the spotlight. France has officially joined the United States, sending its naval ships to operate alongside American vessels. Washington says the mission is aimed at tackling drug networks and smuggling routes. But the scale of the deployment tells a bigger story. These aren't just small patrol boats. The U.S. has sent warships, a nuclear submarine, and thousands of Marines. On the other side, Venezuela sees this as a major security concern. President Maduro's government has described it as the biggest challenge in decades. In response, Venezuela has increased military preparations, activated militia groups, and positioned additional forces near its coastline and borders. What makes the situation more complicated is the presence of international players. Russia already has military advisors and defense systems in Venezuela. China has invested billions in oil projects and also provides technical support. Iran has supplied advanced drones that add another layer of complexity. All of this means that any small mistake, even a misunderstanding at sea, could escalate tensions not just in the Caribbean, but globally.
Okay. This was in Guardian yesterday. Which side of history will TNT choose? Beijing, China. Former Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Amy Brown is urging the government to intensify diplomatic relations, while historian Dr. Jerome Tilok Singh warns that World War III is no longer a matter of it, but when. Their concerns followed China's 80th anniversary commemoration of its victory in the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression held in Beijing on Wednesday. Against the backdrop of rising global tension, China marked the end of World War II with a display of remembrance, unity, and modern military might. President Xi Jinping, I think that's his name, was flanked by Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korea Kim Jong-un in Tiananmen Square, underscoring shifting alliances and Beijing growing geopolitical influence. For some analysts, it was also a signal that China's diplomatic reach could rival that of the US-led world order. But what does that mean for TNT? Beyond its historical role as a strategic US military base and vital oil hub during the war, the country now faces a familiar question. Should it remain aligned to Washington or begin exploring new partnerships that could reshape its future? Speaking to Guardian Media, Dr. Tilakson said TNT must brace itself for global instability. Well, we heard all what he would have said, and I'm asking, what side of history will TNT be under this UNC government, right? Let me leave it here. Let me go to PNM and our dearly esteemed political leader and opposition leader, the PNM, Mrs. Penelope Beckers Robinson. And ma'am, I want to tell you again, don't take chain up from them whispering choppiness in your ears. People, it has come to my attention, so I'm going to call it is alleged. It is alleged that the political leader of the People's National Movement would have said Jennifer Frederick is attacking her. It is alleged she would have said it at the National Women's League when they had whatever function she did singing. It is alleged that she said that I am attacking her. She don't know me and I'm attacking her. I want to tell the political leader and opposition leader, the People's National Movement, all due respect. If you have to talk about me in a space where you're supposed to be running things because you're the boss, me as a peep squeak. Even if that's what you're thinking in your mind, again, you just seem to just talk whatever comes to your head. It makes you look, I'm very disappointed in it. And it makes me be reaffirmed in the things I'm saying that you're weak and you're not ready to lead the People's National Movement. You can't take the PNM to victory in 2030. What attack have I been attacking you, madam? You have one of your activists, in my opinion, that is an activist, cussing people, including myself, Darian Marcel, Eric, just because MP Stuart Young, and whoever. That is her right to cuss. My issue is not the cussing. My issue is she's aligned with you because we saw for ourselves she's been hugged tightly, which is only a right to do. That is not my concern. By yourself, opposition leader, and by Dr. Nain Gaspi, who is the chair of the Women's League. That is only a right to do that. That ain't my business. But we're looking at the optics of it. And if it is true that you would have said I attacking you, then you're using the words of your people who are there cussing people. Because nothing I've said to anybody who logical thinking, it could be assumed as attack. I think it should be looked as constructive criticism. Because certain things I would have said, in my opinion, watching it, I might be very presumptuous and thinking that I see a kind of change with the thing. When I said you're having a press conference, you're getting up on me, running by the counter, running the thing, like if it's the MC to introduce, have a table, and let's sit with the mic, however, I see I had somebody MCing the whole thing, and you think, I say, okay. But people have hopes in you that you will get better at whatever. And I keep saying to myself, because I dabble in a little psychology. If you're on that stage in your life, late 60s, and this is your way and modus operandi of doing things, it is hardly unlikely you're going to change that type of personality now. Because you're already stuck and conditioned in your ways. So you're not going to get more vibrant. You're not going to get more excited. Look, I listened to you speak there. You went to drop the laptop. Very good initiative. Very good. But when you speak, everything is right and right and right. I was waiting for a left. Right and right and right. That not sounding good. Leave that to people like we who out there with the green verbs and they just talk to you. The political leader of the People's National Movement. You're the opposition leader of Trinidad and Tobago. Not because you're gone in the quote unquote ghetto, quote unquote, that you have to talk that kind of way. You could still speak properly and still be understood and still be accepted. Talking properly every second when I'm right, and you know, right? And that not sounding good. If the people around here don't want to tell you, I will keep telling you because as I told somebody, if you win, the PNM win, and the country Trinidad and Tobago win. If you fail, the PNM fail, and the Trinidad and Tobago fail, all regeneration will fail because this is a serious fight we have on the hand with this new UNC like they're on evil and steroids. So all you want to sit down wrong here and pamper you and powder you and pet you like you're a baby because they must want a contract and they must want work and they must want this and they want promotion, whatever the case may be. That is you and them business. If you want to take on that, you see that people out here, we more serious than that. And you're not doing nothing to encourage me as one person. And if you have to be talking about me, well, you making me seem as if I was a David. You making me feel like a female David. Like I have 20,000, 30,000. When you talk, madam, you command a space where the Trinidad and Tobago listening to you. When you go to a meeting, you command a space where thousands of PNM people listening to you. Me can't go and command no state with thousands of PNM people listening to me in a whole country. I have a little live. And if 400 people log on and I say, okay. My live does have sometime on Facebook, 60 people, 70 people. I come and bounce up now. It has grown and appreciated of it. But understand the context I talking about. There's the 400 people. I'm not discounting the people who listening, but understand the context. 400 people, if so much. 300 sometimes. You're studying me? I don't have to convince nobody to come out and vote for me for no election 2030. Or it's you have to do that. And you're focusing on me and using words like I attacking you when I trying to make sure that you get strong. You have to have a thick skin if you're in public office. You want the work that committed, you will get criticism. And based on your mental thinking, you will interpret it as attack. But you have to have a thick skin. I will show it when I will read it. I will get it for Wednesday to read with a judge, a big lawyer or something was talking about the judiciary and judges and things. They're not exempted from criticism. Just like you, madam, is a politician, you're not exempted from criticism. And some will criticize you because they don't like you. I am not one of them. Some will criticize you because they're jealous of you. Me is not one of them. Some will criticize you because they want your job. Me is not one of them. My criticism is to be taken in the context. You could do better because we have too much at stake. So I want to read to you something here because I can misunderstanding this whole thing. Constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is helpful feedback given to someone pointing out specific areas of improvement in a balanced way that also acknowledges strength. I acknowledge your strength, I say that. You do the carry, you do the singing thing, you cut a coconut, you cut it. I can use a cutlass to cut a coconut. You're singing the chicken, you're cooking. These are people person. I acknowledge that, but we're talking about that. We're talking about winning an election. We're paying them a 13-man dog. Not 13-man dog, you know. Only 13 man to face. And you see about 30, 20, 27, 30 or whatever of them. That's why I'm talking about I want to see a skill there. Me want to see if they could cook and dance and carry. That ain't helping to win no election. That's when we linemen and socializing. Me nothing to be socializing. I think it's have a political war there. Me I have time want to sit down and eat and drink and put on white and thing and laugh and that's all your business. That if all you feel like how you will win the election, I'm happy for. When all they start to go around to people and people say, why I should vote PNM, tell them we just go and dress up in Women's League and we just have modern thing and we just lime and we just fellowship with one another. Tell them that and see if that will make them want to vote PNM. I know they have to be geared up with the information and evidence and stuff when they ask you why vote PNM, you let them know why, because PNM did this, and without that, this is what will happen. That's why I know it had to be. But if all they feel is about socializing alone and dress up nice and have the place looking like it's a wedding they're going to have, okay, that ain't my problem. So as I was saying again, it also acknowledges strength. Its purpose is to motivate growth and enhance performance rather than to tear down someone. It focuses on actionable advice and practical steps to help the person improve, fostering development, and often strengthening relationships. Key characteristic of constructive criticism, helpful intent. The primary goal is to help the recipient improve. Balanced perspective. It includes both what was done well and specific areas that could be better. Actionable advice. It provides clear, practical suggestions for how to make improvement. Positive tone. It aims to enhance performance and foster growth, not to attack or hurt the individual. How constructive criticism helps? It promotes improvement. It provides direction for enhancing skills and performance. It boosts morale. By acknowledging strengths and offering a path for growth, it can motivate and build confidence, strengthens relationships. When delivered thoughtfully, it fosters an open and supportive environment. Constructive criticism versus destructive criticism. Constructive aims to build up, offer a balanced view, and provide actionable advice. Destructive only points out faults, attacks the individual, and often leaves the person feeling defeated without any direction or improvement. Have I attacked you personally, ma'am? I have spoken about your inability, in my opinion, to carry the PNM to election. I've even asked all of them who have a problem with me saying that you're weak, send me a list of your accomplishments so that I can sit behind my laptop when I'm doing my live and say, this is what our political leader and opposition leader would have done during her political career, not your personal life. Me interested in that. Her political career, because this is a political space we have, trying to fight back, come back to win the People's National Movement, winning the election 2030. Tell me something I could tell people when they say, oh, she's a nice lady, she did PNM long time and she deserves it, she's a black woman. I say, hey, you see that black woman who did the PNM all them years, who they quiet there, she do bam, 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 bam. All they give me nothing. All of them say she did a long time, you're nice, and I know that. I ain't winning no election, I went PNM in office and think nice, but she nice. Right now, it has nothing to do with that. Let me tell you what is attack versus criticism, constructive criticism. A person who perceives constructive criticism as a personal attack may be experiencing rejection, sensitive diaspora, which involves intense emotional sensitivity to criticism, or they may have low self-esteem, a fear of inadequacy, or a history of negative experiences with criticism. This reaction is often a protective mechanism to avoid painful feelings of shame or not being good enough. Positive causes, possible causes, low self-esteem. Individuals with low self-esteem may feel that any criticism, even if constructive, confirms their existing self-criticism and reinforces their negative self-belief. Rejection and sensitive diaspora. This condition involves intense emotional sensitivity to criticism or perceived rejection, leading to an overwhelming emotional response. Fear of inadequacy. A deep-seated fear of not being good enough or worthy can make someone shut down or become angry when confronted with feedback about potential weaknesses. Past experience. Growing up in an environment where one was frequently criticized or had their value contingent on being useful can lead to strong defensive reactions to any form of negative feedback. Identity and core belief. Criticism that touches upon a core aspect of a person's identity or a deeply held belief can cut deeper and feel like fundamental threat. How to respond? If you are that person, political leader and opposition leader, Honorable Penelope Beckles, if that is how you feel, and you are that type of person I just read about, hear how to respond to those things. One, practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself, as learning to take feedback is a skill that not everyone receives with help. Two, breathe, calm down. Take deep breaths or focus on your toes to regain a sense of calm and get into your body rather than getting lost in your head. Three, seek understanding. Ask for clarification such as, tell me more about X, or can you give me an example to better understand the feedback and separate it from your worth. Four, work on core beliefs. Address negative core beliefs that might be developed in childhood to build authentic confidence and self-esteem. If you are providing feedback to such a person, so they say that, balance criticism with appreciation. And I've always said, she is a nice lady. I met her. I was introduced to her, very nice lady. I met her at Bushline last year. We took pity and things, very nice, very calm lady. I've always said that. Right? So it says, if I am providing feedback to such a person that I know read about, it said balance criticism with appreciation, balance any feedback with genuine appreciation and positive reinforcement. Have I not been reinforcing? I said, if you can do this, or sit down, evaluate the situation and see whether or not you are suited for the job. I've been saying that, right? Ensure two-way communication. Engage in continuous friendly dialogue to allow for open discussion and mutual understanding. Right? So those are things there. People who perceive constructive criticism as being attacks against them. I want to end by saying, because them can say what they want. My concern is the People's National Movement being ready to win the 2030 election. That trumps all them feeling and who cussing. That trumps it. Because this is too important for me to get caught up with them things. You see me? I am my true authentic self. Well, authentic means true self. I say it as I see it. I don't have time to lie. I've never indulged myself into lying. That is not something I practice. I'm outspoken. Some people may not like that. Some people may feel because I present as I present, a Rasta woman and whatever, I should not have that type of confidence. Let me tell you something. I was born with a light that I shine. I was born with a voice that I speak. And nobody is going to dim my light and tell me I must dim my light for them to shine. All of we have a light in me. And if you choose not to use your light and advance yourself, that is on you. That's nothing to do with me. If you just lie and if it is bad, not people and whatever, and I don't do that, and you feel some type of way when I am wrong, whatever, you have to deal with that. I am not the problem. I will continue to be and treat with how I know to be. Truthful, honest, as much as I can be, and authentic, and walking in my truth. I want to ask something here, because this is a part of why people are having issues with this with this particular PNL. I understand that there's going to be the Central Executive of the PNM is calling for a meeting 2 o'clock Wednesday. First of all, why are you calling for a meeting in a work week? 2 o'clock, where a lot of general council members may be people who working, finishing 4 o'clock and whatever. Why is the rush to have it in the week? Why not on a weekend when more people could attend? Right? They said the last time the general council was called, again during the week, that is the general council, they call out people during the week again. 20 people agreed to have a general council meeting. I just seen it to the left. And when that meeting happened, well, general council about 120 members and a little whatever it is, those people wasn't able to come. Only these 20 who signed that thing to have the meeting during the week, during work time. And out of that, 2 people who didn't have the legal authority to vote in a general council was allowed to vote. And out of that, we had Dr. Naim Gaspi and member being temporarily installed as chairman and something else of the People's National Movement. I understand that the opposition leader at the time invited the independent candidates who were taking part in internal election to come to talk, and people would have spoke out about the fact that people who voted in that general council meeting wasn't supposed to vote. People write letter. The letters up to this day has never been responded to, and it continues. And my thing is, when all they continue to do things like that, how will they expect people to trust all it? How will they expect the hurt to heal? How will they expect to mend bridges when all they continue in this? People can look at it as this kind of underhand and conniving kind of way. Asking the political leader and the opposition leader how she expect people to think when they continue to do things like that. When it coming out of it, I will go back to it. All they started with one of the biggest lies. All they support Churchill and all they was doing all their own thing on the outside. Okay, PNM come and lost. 13 members of parliament win this seat. And when they called for a meeting, 7 show up. You was one of the 7. When you see what they were about to do, you should have said, let all the members of parliament be here with us. Let me make a decision between the 13 and we. No, or let make it between 6 and you vote for yourself, you became the opposition leader. Leaving all the next 6. The next 6 just fall in the group because we don't lost already. We're gonna make back an alpha. That is where it starts. And again, it starts again in Tobago when all the voted for Stuart Young over her, and then all they come Trinidad, and then all they say, oh, yes, all they support, all they sign it, and then all they start a backbite and all kind of thing. That way people remember. That way people remember, not only understanding that, and Dr. Dine Batsky going up on a stage and talk about, throw them out. who not in line with, we throw them out. That's what all they're doing. And then all the activists costing people. If all I want to say is activists for security, all the free to say that, but I never cost nobody. I never tell nobody I vex them because they support Penelope Beckers. I never do that. All I just say, I support my member of parliament because he I just vote for. I live in the constituency that I'm a member of parliament. That's the most I just do. And what I just say, I talk truthfully and say, in my opinion, I don't feel Penelope Beckers have what it takes to take the PNM to the next step. That's what I just do. But when I continue to have people cussing people all over and feel like I bring people to the party. So those are the things I just be talking about when I say what I say, Madam Opposition Leader and political leader. So if it is true, you're in a space where you're supposed to command authority and command that respect, and you call in my name to say I'm attacking you. Where you feel going to happen? That people would assume and I didn't go view it? Well, that's their choice. I told you, well, I start off with 2 people watching my live, my husband and my good friend. And then I was 3 or 4, Miss Gloria Roberts, and I think Miss Melka. Then it went to 6 and 10. When I see 10 people, somebody said, laugh to myself. That's where I start from. So now I had 300 people close to 4 and think, I thank God for that. But if I go to 2 people and 3 people, I could still be saying what I say. It's not them who concerned about numbers, you know. I had 800 people viewing and I had this 1,000. That's not my concern. My concern is having something to say and I'm saying what it is. So the gentleman I meet on Duke Street today, blessings, sir. Sorry I didn't take any. We had a nice little conversation. Those are things that bring me joy. So again, I'm saying, opposition leader, the ball in your court. The ball is in your court. It's up to you. You're big on your heart sense. If you want to take on them little buzzing in your ears and use that as your information to have a conversation, madam, you don't know us already. You don't know us already. And calling my name, and what? I can't win no election for you. I am not a member of parliament and being voted. And I want to add this also as I leave. And these are things we need to look at. If you were to add all the votes that vote against the opposition leader in Arima, is more than the votes that she gets. The UNC, she won her seat by about 500 something votes. But if you add up the UNC vote with all the other votes, other parties, whatever, is more votes than she would have gotten. That says something. If you look at it, she has not had a meeting, a public meeting in her constituency. And she's the opposition leader, Trinidad to Tobago, she's the member of Parliament Arima. She has not had one there. She went all where the PNM and win the election. All across the carnival, she went there. Why would you do that? You're in opposition. You're supposed to go where you win, strengthen that base there, and then reach out to other places. You ain't go there, but you're going all over the place. What do you expect people to think, Madam Political Leader, Opposition Leader? Those are the things I talk about when I say that you're weak. I didn't say physically weak. I'm speaking about weak in your presentation, weak in your strategies, weak in just how your whole demeanor. And that's not going to change with me saying that. Yeah? It's no hate against you. It's no fight down as a black woman. I'm not interested in them things. I am politics. The alignment thing and a like share nice thing, that is for something different. We're talking politics here. So you need to get yourself in a game, ma'am. So let me see who here today. People wrap up now. Julie, Super C, Leslie, Nayabo, Joycelyn. And because of time, when people, all the peeps on Facebook, and all they always they supporting me, Maria, everybody. Sabina, if you're there, all my whole crew from Facebook. I have a whole crew on Facebook. I have my whole list. I have my list close today. And I just call names because I tell myself whether they're dead and dead, I'm calling them out. Okay, look, I find it. The whole list wrong. San King, Banto, what's the name? Oh gosh. McDonald, the whole crew. Davison, Yvette, Angela, Ganging, Ginger, Penda, Lorna, Ortega, Manet, Sarah, Emmeline, Christopher, Erica, Keith, Charles, and Ophelia, Sheriff, Puna, my family, Charles, Alison, Andrew, Helen Rush, Rojas, Pleasantville, Roxanne, Timmins, Melka, Bounty, Hadara, Rutten, Dr. Lloyd Straker, Lucy Brown, Cheryl, Stevie, Alison, Philip, Germanas, Lazar, Francia, Prancho, E.A. Shorty, Bernadine, Angel, Jocelyn, Augustus, K2, Victoria from Sarah, my whole friend from up there. She friend I'm meeting, yep. Victoria, I hope everything all right with you, darling. The last time we talked, I had a situation. I hope everything all right. We have Kathy and Raymond, Felicia and Lisa, Alexander, Joyce, Nervis, Margaret, Thomas, Angela, Sobas, all who are in call, all. I love all you, always support them. I love you all those on this platform. Oh gosh. Bounce Up Central, thanks to the director for inviting me to the platform. And them who say, oh, has she here for, she don't have no content and whatever, leave me with me, I have no content. I'm with 200 and 300 and 400 people. You still with your 700 and 800 people, and you be your authentic self there, right? Or they like to fight. That is what it is. That's why that's called fight down one another. Always fighting down. Always. That individual, I will say this here, that individual always fighting on his black brother or black sister. I throw my corn, who fall want to take it up, the free to talk, take it up, because I'm talking truth. Always fighting down. You come on the people platform, do your blasted thing, don't study me. If I fearless on this platform, you think I will ever go and fight on fearless? And talk about the content and we in content? I go and a little banter with him and I call in and think, do you think I'll ever try to dirty his rice? Never. You get the little platform, you come to try to dirty my rice. That's the kind of individual that you are. And I will pay them around them right now. That individual, yeah, you're selfish. You're all for yourself. Fight down. That is what I call fight down. And next black man and black woman. All they don't study me. All I love all you. See you all on Wednesday when I come with something for something new. This is the girl Jen and Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. And if you want to get formal, Miss Jennifer Frederick, another edition of We Talk D Ting. Director, play for me. I want playing today. I want the Stalin and Marshall. Fire. Play that Marshall.
Next that it can black Stalin party. Love, fire, blazing, blazing, love, fire. Blazing, 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 love, fire, blazing, 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 love, fire, blazing, blazing. Right now we come, spreading our love to every nation. We on a mission, and love is the only salvation. When I tell you right now, it's a brand new day. Tell the haters them, now come to play. When the fire start blazing, you can feel the heat. It's a fire of love that you can't defeat. Long ago, the fire on the outside. This time it bullet on the inside. And when you get that loving feeling, ecstatic and black Stalin passing. So let the fire burn high, 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 high. Show up your love in the sky, high, high, high. Turn up your fire inside, high, high, high. Show up the message in the sky, high, high. It's love we come with this style. Read to them, read to them, read to them. Work with it, work with it, work with it, work with it. Jano, we come back again. This time around we don't need no pain. Jano, in this holy name, tell them refrain from going insane. But I tell you right now, we now come to play, and we gathering the ones that gone astray. Yo, keep this fire burning inside. Let's burn out the violence and the crime. In the West and in the Middle East, we want peace, all we want is peace. From Lavante down to Caroli, let the love flow through everybody. So let the fire burn high, 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 high. Show up your love in the sky, high, high, high. Turn up your fire inside, high, high, high. Show up the message in the sky, high, high. This love we come with this time. Read to them, read to them, read to them. Work with it, work with it, work with it now. Oh. This feeling that you can't deny, you can resist no matter how you try. It's a fire of love that we burn in, and throughout the world that we spread it. So let the fire burn high, 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 high. Show up the love in the sky, high, high, high. Turn up the fire inside, high, high, high. Show up the message in the sky, high, high. Love we come with this.